JoyNews agenda today, we're focusing on the provision of infrastructure in senior high schools in the central region and how school authorities in the region are managing the situation. Richard Kojonako has been traveling to some of the schools in the central region and reports inadequate infrastructure has forced many schools to study under canopies and uncompleted structures.
The free senior high school bells have rung, and they are still tolling across the country. They are echoing everywhere.
Free SHS is here! Free SHS above!
The fanfare is still deep within the hearts and minds of many people.
Oh, I've heard that if you are enjoying the free SHS, you no pay school fees. So that will help more in my brothers who are in the primary school. Like as in the one that they will use to pay my school fees, they will rather help in their school fees.
In all of this, many challenges have been encountered in the process, and some have been overcome, but a greater proportion still persists in spite of the smiles on the faces of many parents whose children are the immediate beneficiaries of the policy. The greatest challenge that still towers across the many schools scattered across the country is that of infrastructure. The challenge of infrastructure remains as pronounced as the free SHS itself.
The decision by stakeholders of Adisade College to revise downwards the intake of SHS1 students effective the 2016-2017 academic year due to inadequate accommodation facilities, coupled with the dissolution of one temporary house, New House 1, reduced the intake from 920 students in the 2015-2016 academic year to 423 for the 2016-2017 academic year, a percentage reduction of 54. It must be mentioned that the document by stakeholders on admissions served as the guide for the 2016-2017 SHS1 admissions and shall remain so for the years ahead till accommodation facilities in our college improve.
The headmaster of Adisade College, William Kusiabwa, was very candid about the challenge during the school's anniversary recently. The challenge has forced many schools to cut down their admission intake. In many of the schools that I have traveled to in the central region, the evidence is clear. Many projects have stalled for many years. Those that have been completed have been shabbily done. And even though government has spent millions of Ghana cedis on such projects, the schools cannot make use of them. Such structures continue to stand in most of the schools, waiting to collapse.
In the year 2012, a new classroom block was commissioned for the use of Form 4 students. Unfortunately, we had to evacuate the building due to some structural problems. Last year, a contractor employed by the government came round with some workers and began some semblance of work on the building. But they left after a very short time. Until date, the classroom block still stands empty. It is very dangerous studying in a building which is adjacent to one that can collapse any second. It is our heartfelt plea that work on this building be completed as soon as possible.
Head prefect of Wesley Girls Senior High School, as she then was, Akosia Mantibia Buampon, narrated the sordid state of affairs during the school's anniversary recently. Apart from these stalled projects, many of the senior high schools continue to study under weird conditions. How does it feel being under the canopy?
It feels very hot under it. When you're learning, sometimes you don't even feel comfortable sitting at the place. You feel like coming out of the canopy to a more comfortable place. Because when the child is teaching, you see most people holding their fans, fanning themselves. The whole canopy is very, very hot.
Students of Academy of Christ the King telling tales of how studying under canopies is like to JoyNews. The school is located in Cape Coast, a city many proudly describe as the citadel of education. Teaching and learning has to go on under the canopy, with the same canopy serving as the dining hall of the school.
The administration block has not been handed over. We can't even find a contractor to hand over. I learned he says that he needs some payment needs to be made before he hands over. And this one is an uncompleted, as you see, classroom block that we started. This one is it was done by the PTA to help. That was we started it last year when we realized that we had to put the student on the canopy. So we rushed in, but PTA funds got finished, and then we had to finish. But we finished about 2 of them. As you can see that we accommodate students. At least half completed that student can sit under. If it rains, then they definitely have to move because the wind directions here still, whichever direction will affect them. So teachers had a tough time dealing with that, but we had to cope with it. We will appeal to government that as they have started this noble project, which we also want to support and then make sure that it becomes a reality. We also want to appeal to government to come to the schools and see the problems that we have. We have a lot of problems, especially buildings that must be completed to make sure that students sit comfortably and enjoy this free SHS.
Akko Williams is a teacher of the school. He's been teaching under the canopy and other uncompleted structures in the school. The Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research about 3 months ago cited inadequate funding as one of the main reasons for the erosion of quality education at all levels in Ghana. Presenting findings on ISE's latest report on the education sector at the University of Ghana, Professor Jonathan Fletcher, a researcher, indicated that governments have not been able to balance improved access with funding. He recalled that there were times at the secondary school level where classes used to have about 35 pupils in a class, but now classes record as many as 80 or 90 students, following the emphasis of making education more accessible. A stark reality in Ghana's senior high schools as the implementation of the free senior high school kickstart.
Before the introduction of the e-school project by the elsewhere NDC government, I was of the view that there were a lot of Get Fund projects that needed to be completed. And seriously, they were to serve very good purposes. You go to schools in Cape Coast, some of them have had that, but midway, no funding, some bottlenecks, the project are sitting down. Then quickly, we're able to get money from somewhere to do community day school. It's not a bad idea.
Well, speaking of schools, it's been 1 week since government's flagship program, the Free SHS, kicked off, and the first batch of beneficiaries officially report to school today. Our reporters have been live in schools in the region. First, let's start off from Accra, where my colleague Faustina Safo has been busy this morning at lorry stations, engaging some first years who were seen at lorry stations boarding buses to their various campuses.
I have with me one of the students here. Hello, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
From the time you got your placement till now, what were some of the things you went through?
I didn't get my first choice, who was a Brig Girls. I had my third choice, Koforidua Secondary Technical. So my parents and I decided to go there to get the admission. But when we read it, they said girls are not boarded there. So we came back to Accra. So we should come to the GES. So we came back, and my daddy consulted one of the men there, and they solved it for us.
So now where are you going to?
Kumasi Wesley Girls High School.
The name of our school is St. Francis Senior High.
Where is it located?
It's located at Odan. I chose it and I got it. So when I saw that I got it, I was happy because that's the school I chose. I have everything I need for school, and I'm going today because it seems some of them are rushing to the school. So if you don't go within this week, you'll be late. So when you get there, they say the boarding house is full and all that. So I'm going today.
I'm going to St. Francis.
Where is it located?
At Kimoda, in the Eastern region. It was easy for me to get my placement, and I bought all my things I needed. So it's not bad. So we thank him. We thank God Almighty for bringing the president first.